Assalamualaikum and salam UiTM di hati pening.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Rajun Izzi Kamala binti Raja Zulkifli. My matrix number is 2019430142, and today I'm going to give an introduction about the federal system. So the word federal comes from the Latin words which is fodris, meaning that league. So it shows an alliance between the various units and the people of the country. So a federal state is one in which there exists at least two sets of government, and there is a division of governmental powers between the national government and the constituent unit. So the constituent units refers to the states, provinces, republics, regions or canton. So the constitution is usually rigid in the sense that the procedure for amending it is more difficult than the enactment of ordinary law. So in almost all federal systems, the amendments require agreement by both the federal or national government and a majority of the states or provincial government. So in some federations, each level of government has its own range of activities under its exclusive jurisdiction. So while in others, each level may exercise concurrent authority with another level of government. So it is important to remember that every federation has a different mixture of functions which distinguishes it from another.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. My name is Rabatul Adawiyah binti Sa'adun and my matrix number is 2019414018, and I will explain the point about origin of the federal. There are various origins of the federal, and in some cases, such as Nigeria, Canada, India and Australia, the federation was under the guidance of the colonial rules. However, in some situations, the federal system is the outcomes of the former unitary state divided up into several component parts, and in addition, the structures of the federal system of the government is particularly suitable for states that cover in large geographical areas and for states that have a variety of sections due to socio-economic conditions and unequal cultural divisions. However, federalism is not very popular or common because as a federal structures, only 17 countries in the world are politically structured. This includes the United States, United Arab Emirates, Malaysia, Canada, Australia, India, Pakistan and Nigeria.
Theory of federalism. Most of multicultural nations are federal by polity and character through the cultural, linguistic and custom differences. Generally, the monoculture in the people of particular territory leads to the emergence of federal character. It is not just the diversity which ensures federal character, but in spite of social cultural differences, the group are wholeheartedly unified for a noble collective purpose. There are two undercurrents, namely a force to keep the society united and to keep the society informed about the diversity. Thus, a federal nation needs to balance unity and diversity on a oscillating slippery plane. A national government that consists of regional government need to be coordinated for smooth run. The independence between national and regional governments facility fully empowered central ruling setup. Federal government is defined and discussed from the backdrop of centralizing and non-centralized forces. Whether it is classical or contemporary type, the federal concept revolves around division power between national and regional. Federal was a center ground begging an approach to disperse authority between the state and the public government. As appeared in the outline and the net, under an administrative framework, the authority is isolated between the public government and state government, with power to act goes straightforwardly from the individual. Conversely, a confederation vests force and authority in state government, with public authority appointed by the state. Under a unitary framework, position to act it concentrate with the public decrees of government is practiced at the precedence of the public government. A local government in the public authority that is controlling control over a unitary state, continuously indicated in alliance in the government, which may have unmistakable force at difference between a prof or assigned to a public in a state. However, the focal is now and again additionally used to portray it. The structure of focal government differ. Numerous nations have made self-sufficient district by assigned power from the focal government to government on sub-public level. For example, local, state, commonplace, neighborhood, and different cases. In light of a wide meaning of essential political framework, there are at least two degrees of government that exist inside a set-up region and a government through regular organization with covering or share force and endorsed by constitution or and law.
Next, the second level of government is constituent unit. So, federalism is the system of government in which sovereignty is constitutionally divided between a central governing authority and the constituent political units. So, it is based upon democratic rules and institution in which the power to govern is shared between national and state government, creating a federation. So to a great extent, the role of constituent unit is determined by their character, and just as their character is both simple and complex, so their roles also is simple and complex. So the representation of territory, as we have seen, can be complex in the sense that each unit brings to the table a variety of different values, belief and interest that encapsulated in space, place and polity. So they can include as well as exclude national groups and communities that can create minorities as well as majorities, whether they are or later become national, religious, tribal, ethnic or linguistic. So they can therefore create condition for unity and also disunity in states. Next, constituent units also have government, and these executives meet together formally and informally with the federal government to negotiate, bargain and mediate their expressed territorial interests on the public policy agenda. So governments govern, and it is important to know that precisely what they seek to achieve, on whose behalf and how each constituent government arrive at their policy agenda. So finally, some constituent units are also nations in reality, even if they are not formally recognized as such in their constitution. Therefore, this brief sketch of the role of constituent units underlines their essentially multidimensional nature. So all of them have a role as a territorial representative and a functional executive of intergovernmental relations, but some have additional roles either as a region or a nation or both. So some have general territorial function purposes, while others have some specific purposes like culture. So nonetheless, the multidimensional role of each one of them is itself shaped by its individual character. Thank you.
My first point is, it is good for economy and cultural progress. Federal government is good for our country in terms of economy and cultural progress. In a federation, there are centers that take care of many general subjects and states do not have to bear the expense. Therefore, with the establishment of federations, trade and various industries between states are highly encouraged because they can grow the economy. In addition, there is also the provision of periodicities guaranteed in areas of scarcity without much expense. This will make it easier for the less fortunate people. This will cause the country's economic resources to increase in a federation, and the country can face various natural disasters that can occur, such as drought, famine, floods, and other natural disasters without much difficulty. With this, the country can create a strong economic policy because it can build a strong dam and establish industry for its well-being. Furthermore, to increase economic prosperity, many plans have been implemented by the countries. For example, In large countries like India, there are various races, religions, and cultures, and the federal government give them special facilities and protections that can help them in achieving rapid economic and social progress. Administrative and cultural autonomy was granted to various nationalities in the Soviet Union for the increase of Harijan and tribes and the protection of linguistic and religious minorities. Special measures were taken in India. So my next point is the division of federal power protects freedom. This is said to be because the federal structure protects citizens from oppression or exploitation by the state government through the right to live. In addition, federalism is also a shield against arbitrary central government. Thomas Jefferson was very firm on this, as was Lord Bryce, who said that federalism hindered the rise of a reprehensible central government, absorbed other powers, and threatened the personal liberties of citizens. For example, the late Geoffrey Sawer of the Australian National University in Canberra is a very well-known constitutional lawyer. However, he is clearly not a friend of federalism, but he has acknowledged that federalism is itself protect the freedom of the individual. Moreover, even in the most severe of circumstances, federalism in Australia have proven its value in many respects. For example, the Prime Minister and other state political leaders who led the fight against the 1991 political broadcast ban. The fact is, the New South Wales government was the culprit in the successful High Court challenge to the legislation, and the decision I would suggest is probably the biggest progress in Australian political freedom since the Federation. So thank you, that's all from me.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. My name is Rabatul Adawiyah binti Sa'adun and my matrix number is 2019-414018, and I will explain the point about the advantage of federal system. Actually, as we know, the federal governments offer representations to different populations. This advantage is more focused on people from different regions who may have different aspirations, races, and cultures. Therefore, these gaps are sometimes ignored by the central government as well as the policies that only attract the interest of majority people. Plus, the most important thing is that this advantage protected minority rights. For example, regional schools could provide multilingual educations, especially in countries with states that speak different language, such as in state like Arizona, where there is large Hispanic populations and a large number of schools that offering bilingual educations. That's it from me.
Understanding of local issue and demands. There is no legitimate way for the central government to understand what problems, demands, and adjustments need to be made in every region of the world. That's why federalism is such a huge help in the government. Plus, the smaller branches of the state or local governments are right in the center of local society. They are best suited to dealing with the real things that need to be changed. When a government is closer to its people, they will be more responsive toward the citizens' needs, emergency situation, or any required change to the structure of law. Instead of depending on the central government, the local government should distribute resources first, such as the provincial government minister that live close to the citizens are most of the time from the same community. So, these ministers, they are in better position to know all the issues, problems, or needs from the citizens. Thus, if they have a problem, the local government can come up with a unique solution to help the citizen. For an example, the traffic congestion in Oahu, Hawaii has an issue that can be better handled by the local government. Keeping local factors in mind, this issue only local government can solve rather than anyone that living in New York. Another example also about the bad traffic along the Leki Ajah Expressway in Lagos that also been solved by the local government from seeing a local factors perspective.
Assalamualaikum dan salam UiTM di hatiku. My name is Sharinisa Widi Zainal, and for my part, I will explain about the federal power during the emergency. Emergencies are often associated with the chaos and political instability in a country. Emergencies are temporary and cannot be controlled by the common law. The federal constitutions allow things prohibited under normal secularism in the event of an emergency to re-establish peace and order. Article 1501 of the Federal Constitution empower the YDPA to declare a state of emergency in the event of a situation which result in a security or economic life or public order within the federations or any part threatened. For the examples, emergency was declared by the YDP Tuan Agong in 1969. This declaration of emergency was made due to the research riot that erupted on 13 May 1969. The Elections Party, which has never lost an election since 1957, failed to get a parliamentary majority. Opposition party managed to win in Perak, Penang and Kelantan. To celebrate their victory, the opposition's party have merged. Opposition's party have risen issue of rhythms of the processions. This has created a discontent of a Malay. With this, the Malay held a parade. It got worse and eventually led a riot between the Malay and non-Malay. In conclusions, federal's power during the emergency is one of the most important things and should be prepared so that there will be no commotions or among the peoples. That's all from my part. We go to the next presenter. Thank you for lending me your ears.
To conclude from all of that, federalism is the oldest form of government. We must be remembered that 40% of world's population lives in federal countries, and every transformation of new states to the federal system keep rising day by day. We should know federal is a historical commodity because in countries that have pursued federalism, it has variety of activity arising from the current situation. Plus, there are specific advantages of federal system that still are not ready to use. Although in this countries, there are models of creation with economic and social conditions, political and cultural conditions that prevail, which means that each country is keen on its own federalist model. The pros and cons of federalism provide proof that if there is a system of power sharing open to the government, it is generally better for a society and country. It also provides checks and balance in a system that promotes citizens in freedoms and self-governance at a higher level when compared to the other impossible choice. Thus, in any form of government, while there are obstacles to face, most people living in a federalist system say they will not change the structure at all. Thank you.